Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be on. I got on the market early, so had a chance to digest price, see what was going on. Remember, it is the end of the day on a Friday after we reached some weekly levels, so let's keep that in mind. So this morning I kind of outlined a scenario where after we touch down in this daily fair value gap, we would retrace on this buy side, and we've done that pretty sporadically, coming back and forth, back and forth. Right here we had the lunch high, and as you can see, we ran it, tapped into that breaker again, came down, came back up, hit the breaker one more time, failed to break through it, and now we're working our way down. I like what's happening right now. We took the buy side. We've taken, we've had a nice run up on buy side. On the hourly, it's a retracement. On the 15-minute, we filled in, taken some buy side, filled in inefficiencies. Remember what I said this morning? This morning I said, what would be a high probability area to enter to target this daily fair value gap? Well, if the move started here, it'd be 50%. So 50% was right at the bottom of this breaker too. So, entering it here would have been really good, but I never re-entered. And if you think about it, we re-entered a discount at 50% when we came into this breaker for the second time. So I want to see how price reacts through this fair value gap. I like the idea of trying to go short, possibly target the daily low again. I have been keeping an eye on the dollar. This morning, the dollar was kind of chopping its way down, making lower lows. You can see high, that was a lower low, came up, lower low, came up again, lower low. So the dollar has been moving down a little bit today. Remember, we're at the end of the week. We've reached a higher time frame weekly objective. The dollar is still in that daily fair value gap that we've been talking about all week. So even if the dollar goes sideways, that's still permissible. That allows, the market to free range towards either side, draw on liquidity. I am paying attention. So right now, this is the dollar low for the day. If that is the actual low of the day, I could see we could kind of outline a buy side. I like the fact that the breaker's here because I wouldn't try and go long until we violated this breaker. I'm eyeing this low on the 5-minute. I think I like this. If we break this low on the 5-minute, it would be a 5-minute shift in structure, which I like. If you notice, if you look at the 15 and the hourly, we don't really have a clean, retracement. It is kind of back and forth, but this is really the next lower high after this. So we made a low, high, swap liquidity, lower low, and then, this is technically a swing high, but this is, in terms of like retracements, we haven't made that a next leg to go lower. So if we broke this 5-minute, I would think that is a good sign that we are beginning the next leg lower after this higher low, or lower high has been put into place. As you can see here, we kind of came down, we worked our way to the bottom of this fair value gap. So we'll see, try and catch a little, kind of like a scalp to some internal range liquidity. As for NASDAQ came up in the same breaker on the NASDAQ. You know, we missed it a little shy. NASDAQ, I think, is looking a little more bullish. But either way, whether we're trading NASDAQ or ES, if you look at the 5-minute, I feel like we've been making these, we've kind of been in this like uptrend channel. I'd like to see some kind of shakeup to go long. I want to also make sure, you know, this is, you're at risk of running into this scenario when you're trading PM session on a Friday. The market could just decide to like close like in a range. So it could just, like, for example, we kind of took some liquidity here, took some more buy side from all the people trailing their stops at this high, and the market could just kind of bounce back and forth until the close. Let's look at, no, keep that in the 1 minute. Let's look at the weekly. So it is Friday, so I'm thinking about looking into ICT's weekly, thank God it's Friday setup, TGIF, which says we could see a retracement into 20 to 30% of the weekly candles range. So I haven't looked at this level yet, so I'm doing this right now. We might be in it right now. Nice, we're not in it, so we have some upside. With that being said, I like the idea of targeting that with this kind of channel coming up. I like the idea of trying to, so thank God it's Friday setup is landing the candle body within 20 to 30% of the weekly candles range. That 20 to 30%, as you can see, we're below it right now. That is this red line right here. So I'll take this. This was this morning's liquidity that we talked about. We did take this buy side. We took a little bit of sell side right there, but I like considering the TGIF setup a little more than trying to like scalp or like trade to another low. Again, if we do break this 5-minute low, it doesn't have to. This like landing within 50% isn't a must. Or I mean the 20 to 30% isn't a must. It's not like it's going to do it every week. It's just to be used as a target sometimes. But I like how we are. I like it right now. Because again, the wicks do the damage. So the wick came into this higher time frame objective. And now we're going to go off the idea that TGIF, it is retracing back to 20 to 30%. So let's get looking. I'm going to look for a silver bullet. Watching the dollar, remember these are the low of the days for the dollar. I would have preferred if this low had taken out that low. I always like it when the lows kind of sweep 5-minute or 15-minute swing lows or swing highs. So you could enter on this. I don't want to do that right now because I think, look at how much drawdown. It could have a lot of drawdown before the setup is invalidated, especially because I think it would actually really have to get below this, get below this swing low. Something I will use to try and determine whether price is trying to aim for the TGIF to the long side, or if we're trying to go back and see some sell side, is what the dollar does. So I'll be kind of watching. Dollar seems to be willing to go higher. Yeah, remember I said, you could use this 1 minute in theory, and it could still be retracing and be valid to the upside. I just wouldn't want to go through that much retracement. See how this candle body closes. So you can see NASDAQ went below this low. Dollar's continuing to go higher. I would like this fair value gap here if we took some kind of liquidity above. I don't like it right now because it didn't do that, and because in theory we could. Remember a few minutes ago I was talking about, I really like to see it when we take a swing low slash swing high in the 5 or 15 minute, and then see us go in the direction we're interested in, which, remember, could be happening right here. Really waiting for something obvious. That's what I want. But this would be a classic TGIF setup. Came down, formed the low of the day, the low of the week, touching a higher time frame, PD array, retracing up into 20 to 30%. Kind of holding off right now because we do have this rising dollar. But remember also these two, the dollar and the indices, don't have to work perfectly opposite. So it's not like, if we want to take this swing high, the dollar has to take this swing low. It just has to kind of be moving in that direction. So the dollar could just kind of turn around right here, and just as long as it doesn't want to go higher, that could be enough for ES to go higher. Just the fact that the dollar wouldn't want to go higher. it is looking pretty heavy right now, price. You know, coming off of this breaker too. The breaker is usually a pretty strong PD array. So we still haven't had anything that could have constituted a silver bullet entry. If anything, it would have been, you know, some type of fair value gap to the upside, but we haven't even, I don't think anybody would say that a fair value gap to the upside would be sitting pretty right now. Okay, so I'm watching how we close this candle. I want to see if is this 5-minute candle going to be a wick below this low, or is it going to be a close below this low? The NASDAQ is also below that low. NASDAQ's looking pretty heavy. Again, you should be being patient right now. There's been no reason to enter. You could argue that, you know, we should have used this fair value gap on this pullback down. I don't think that's the most obvious. It's not the most obvious setup. If you had, yeah. So one there. If we got up, back up there. Okay, so we had this 5-minute close below this low. I also like something in between this. So you could say that you had this little breaker structure. We had the high, low, higher, high, sweep of liquidity, came down. It's not the best looking breaker. But it's there. I want to specifically keep my eye on the dollar. Because remember, if the dollar just doesn't want to go higher anymore, that's enough for ES to go up. We have this as a fair value gap. I kind of want a little more pullback. Just being a little pickier right now. Remember, it's 5 p.m. on a Friday. I want to be a bad entry. I like how our bodies are respecting this. We'll go in there. If we had a body close above this fair value gap, I'd probably exit. You could imagine it wicking back to this volume imbalance, similar to how it did there, but I'd want the bodies to close. I'm watching how the dollar It's still making a higher high. Still watching the dollar. Let's look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ's right around the same area, just right above this low. I drew out the wicks, or the fib levels on these wicks. Just because we have the 50%, that's slightly above our take profit. So if we do start to see something's happen right here, I want to know why. If we came up and closed above this fair value gap, I would possibly think we're targeting that TGIF level if the dollar was also showing like it wants to go lower. This isn't the cleanest run to a target. I feel like I've been getting myself in those a lot. I don't want to be. Okay. I'm going to move it. Okay, we have our 5 handles right there. Again, I'm still watching the consequent encroachment of this wick. and where the body closes in relationship to it. Because I feel like this is kind of like my line in the sand. I mean, and really, so TGIF is assuming that this is our low of the day. So if we go and make this new low, then TGIF isn't, most likely is not in play. But if we were to, remember how I said, like, I like to see us, we never took any kind of liquidity for us to actually, get up into this range. We never took any sell side liquidity. So I think this swing low is interesting. It's also the lunch sell side. So what we did right there for those 5 handles was we watched lunch buy side get taken. We waited for the shift on the 5-minute, which happened here. Then we entered there, targeting the lunch sell side. I went for the first 5 handles. Again, I'm really curious. I want to see where this 5-minute candle closes in respect to the consequent encroachment of these wicks and the bottoms of the wicks. Let's see what NASDAQ is doing. NASDAQ hasn't taken it yet. I'll pull up the executions. Something I would really like is if ES had taken that sell side and NASDAQ didn't. We had an SMT, and then we kind of saw some higher highs get made. But we'll wait right now. Oh, what's up, Dodd? Sorry, I've been trying. I try not to look at the chat too much until like after I've traded. Oh, I feel that. Around 42.57. Maybe meant 67. Damn, sorry to hear that, Dodd. I mean, I've definitely found a lot of success for myself in like just the more I restrict myself, kind of like isolates my focus. Because I remember there was a time when I was trying to just read like price like continuously throughout the day, and it would like wear you down, and it's like opening yourself up to like just too many options. I feel like, at least for me, it was when I really started taking less trades, isolated the times. Like I would only like, the channel, the whole purpose of the channel is this trade between 9:30 and 10, this trade between 10 and 11, and this trade between 2 and 3. And I found a lot of success in that because you just limit your chances. Like if you only start looking for setups at 2 right now, we never even entered of like, yeah, we had this fair value gap, but we never had like a real displacement until like after this, and then look, like the only entry was really here, the one I took, to then get some downside. So the dollar, we can see the dollar dropping right here. It's going a little lower. We have this a decent amount of displacement to the upside. You think we get a retest up there? I wouldn't be surprised about that. I agree. I think what it was really doing right here was it was shaking out stops. Because whenever we have what looks like a retail channel or like a trend line going up, I'm like, if we have like a trend line, if I want to go long, I have to see that get like destroyed before I can enter long, or else I'm just too nervous to do it unless we see some kind of shake up in liquidity, which, I think coming below this low was enough. It was definitely enough to do it. I was kind of hoping we would take that low, but neither NASDAQ or YES took that low. I'm gonna wait on the sidelines because I think this happened similar this morning. When you have like fuzzy price like this, it's not surprising when price displaces just to shake up this fuzzy price. So like it could still want this sell side right here, in my opinion. And because price delivered all fuzzily like this, it wanted to really displace back to an inefficiency before taking, just so it could go back and take that sell side. It could not. It could, like this fair value gap right now could be the entry to go long, possibly. But remember, like, I've just burned myself on so many, like, oh, this could be it, and then it doesn't happen, where like I need it to be blatantly obvious now. And there's going to be times, and this morning was one of those times. I mean, this morning I kind of hopped on a little late, and I was a little foggy because I just woke up from my bed and walked right over to my computer. But there's going to be times when you're like, oh, like maybe this is it, and then you miss it, and it's really just like accepting that you can't get every opportunity. And like even like good traders that are profitable and successful don't get every opportunity. They just wait until the opportunity is when they know. It's like this, basically the opportunity is like, if this doesn't pan out, then I'll take that loss. This is such a strong, the odds of this working are so strong that I'll accept a loss. Yeah, this is also why I put my stop right above. See, part of me wonders, so when that trade was in play, I had my stop right at the top of this up close. But if you see, we went to it to the tick. Would that have stopped me out? I don't know. I need to start making sure I put it just a tick over where I intentionally factor in spreads. Dollar looks like could start dipping. I wonder what that retracement looked like on NASDAQ. On NASDAQ, yeah, you can see it came up right to that inefficiency right here. That, which was also one on ES. The bodies didn't line up nicely, but the bodies lined up nicely on NASDAQ. Now it's going lower. I bet NASDAQ's going to take that sell side. Part of me really wishes I could have saw what would happen. So I initially put if you were watching, I had my entry right here with the stop right here. I wonder if this, when it came off, if it would have just triggered my entry and then hit my stop to the tick and dropped. That would have just been, I would have gotten really annoyed, but I would have had to laugh at that because that'd be funny. What really sold me on this fair value gap, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do like a little recap after. When I go back and edit the videos and I put like the time markers in it, I always forget that I should probably start thinking while I'm talking about price. I should kind of like consolidate my thoughts on things so I can kind of put a time marker to it. But I plan on explaining what made me enter here. Okay, so what I'm waiting for now is I want to see if we take the sell side and then go higher. And I'd like to see the dollar making another low while that happens. If we continue to go lower and this, it's not like we take the sell side for liquidity purposes, we close below it and the market seems like it intends to stay below it. I'll be okay with entries. You know, we got 5 handles. It's PM session on a Friday. We went in there, we came out. We don't need to get greedy. I don't even think this was the most beautiful just because of the way it delivered. I was bothered about that. Okay, so we just took that sell side. NASDAQ did not take that low. I'll really like it if we start to retrace back up and the dollar goes lower, because we'll have an SMT divergence on the 5-minute. We'll have a lower dollar. We've swept sell side liquidity and our whole idea is to target the TGIF range. That is pretty far, but I think we just outlined a pretty good idea. I'm gonna wait for this 5-minute candle to close because this is a 5-minute low. It's also I have two 5-minute charts open. Yikes. Noticing how these candle bodies close perfectly, came down, body closed perfectly on this daily fair value gap, opened, came down, touched it, going higher. This 5-minute candle is about to close in 30 seconds. It's looking strong. That nope, it's an SMT. NASDAQ did not take that low. This is the lunch sell side. Let's see if we can find a nice setup to the upside. If we do find a setup to the upside, I feel like the risk to reward will be pretty nice, seeing as how far this TGIF level is. If we broke above this high, I'd like that. You'd have a low, high, lower, low. I usually don't like outlining breakers on the 1-minute too much. I haven't really found consistency with that. If I can get them on the 5 or the 15, I've found some consistency with that. But on the 1-minute, not too much. But even if we just took this high, ignoring the breaker, I think that would be enough of a market structure shift. It would be significant enough. And the dollar drop in. Remember, we want the dollar drop in too. I'm going to take this off because we printed 2 candles over that volume imbalance. I'm going to take this off just because, you know, price didn't seem to respect it too much. So when that happens, I usually like to take them off because I don't want to. Yeah, it was like a 4-minute fair value gap. Excuse me. Tried to take a sip of water and it just went down the wrong way. Oh my god. Had to mute my mic there. Okay, so dollar is breaking some lows. We swept liquidity. We had an SMT divergence from NASDAQ. We have a swing high on the 5-minute, which is also this intermediate term swing high on the 1-minute. We came down. Our candle bodies respected this fair value gap at the bottom. Let's see how this candle closes, if it closes below it or not. Okay. Let's see what happens. Again, what's really giving me the confidence here is, and I'm starting to realize that this is the combination of things that I really like. We took liquidity on the 5, and we have the dollar changing directions. Now, just because we respected this fair value gap, that isn't enough for me to want to enter there. Maybe there are people that would. I don't want to. I want to see us above this high. We have a lot of room once we get like between that high and what we would assume would be the target. So it's not like we're going to be missing any part of a move, really, if this narrative we're building comes to fruition. Kind of had a little 3 drives pattern on the 1-minute. 1, 2, 3. I like that. Like that. I wouldn't even be surprised if we closed below this fair value gap and then still continued higher after, which is one of the reasons why I'd be more worried if we closed below the consequent encroachment of this 5-minute wick. I care about that a little more. Interesting how much the dollar is retracing, but we haven't retraced that much on the indices. I mean, that just goes to show, though, it doesn't have to, it's not one-to-one correlation. It's really just the direction you have to kind of focus on. Like that, like that. See what happens. After seeing that, I trust this order block, this fair value gap a little more. And because the dollar is dropping so much, still gonna wait. Remember, we already got 5 handles for today. So no need to rush into anything. Dollar is getting heavy. It's also just a lot of movement to try and get into that TGIF range. That'd be a lot of movement, and I think the market is like really bearish right now with what's happening overseas. So I don't know if we don't have to retrace 20%. I think we're gonna see some. We've already seen, I mean, 3 heavy days technically. The last 2 days specifically. I think they're gonna stay like that. Depending on. Okay, I'm gonna have to write these down because there's some things I want to say. I want to address. You know, why I entered there. I'm gonna address later. If we do close in this TGIF range, I think the market next week might want to tap into this fair value gap. If we don't close within that TGIF range, I think we're really bearish and it'll probably act as a breakaway gap on the daily chart, that is. I really just said everything that I want to say about it, so. But. Okay, so we're making that move above this fair value gap. I want to see us close above it. It's been holding price down decently. Cool. I like that. I like that. Another reason why I want to close above this swing high is I don't want, it's a pretty nasty wick. I don't want us to just be going up there for its to fill in the consequent encroachment. I want to see even just a print above this high. I would like a lot. Just a print though. It could be a wick. That's all I really want. That's all I really want. I'd like it if this stayed open. But that's enough to be considered institutional order flow entry drill. Again, so that's why I wanted to wait for this swing high. Okay, that's the end of the 2 o'clock hour. It's the end of the 2 o'clock hour. Look at this 5-minute chop. Yuck. Oh, interesting. The NASDAQ did make a print above that high. A print, even if it's a wick, is enough to change market direction according to ICT. It makes sense that NASDAQ would make the higher high because NASDAQ on the 5-minute, this low didn't break the 5-minute low. So I would have expected that. It's also good to pay attention to. It's a little tip of the hand, lends to our narrative. I want to see a close above this high. I like that a lot. Still waiting. I'm still on here because I think the narrative that I've been speaking about regarding us getting back up to this 20 to 30% level, I think it's still in play as long as we don't take this low and we close a candle eventually above this high. And I think it has a good risk, it's, if you look at the room for that to actually run, I think it's great. The dollar is behaving is behaving in a way that would lend towards that narrative. So just staying on to see if it plays out. With such a long accumulation right here, I do think it could go up. Usually you see stuff like this, good expansion can happen afterwards. Okay. Wait for 315. Okay, so took that low. So NASDAQ did not go lower. Still hasn't taken that 5-minute low. We'll wait for the 315 macro. See if anything gets jazzy. It's a little jazzy. Looks like we want to go a little lower. That's fine. Not really interested in trying to go short right now. Also not surprised. Bleh. Damn. Let's see if NASDAQ took that lower low. I think NASDAQ made equal lows with that 5-minute low. Nope, still didn't. It's like a tick shy. Kind of just staying on because I'm curious as I want to see what price does. It's not looking like it wants to turn around and go up. Could be one of those days where it, like randomly, with like 15 minutes left in the day, it runs. I don't think it'll do that. guess part of me is really just waiting for, because we're running out of time. So if it does by chance want to get back into this 20 to 30 retracement, it's going to run. And what I'm thinking is all I need is a 1 minute close above this swing high, and it's game time. So I'm wondering if we'll get like an aggressive run and close above it. I'll try and enter on a fair value gap, and I'm hoping that it'll be a low resistance run since there's not much time left in the day. Birdie came below this sell side twice. NASDAQ did not. So we still have the SMT divergence. We cleaned up all the sell side coming through here. This is our definitive low of the day. And now it would want to run back to 20 to 30%. It doesn't have to. But if it does, I want to try and be a part of that move. Again, I'm waiting for a 1 minute close above this candle. If we wicked above it, and then there was a fair value gap, and we pulled back into, I would also enter a fair value gap. A wick is enough to initiate the algorithm to want to change directions. Those are ICTs. He said it, not me. Damn, I was really thinking after these two candles it was going to decide to go. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because of how, where we are in the daily. It's we spent enough time up here, and we're expecting lower prices. And I think now that it's finally left that daily fair value gap, it wants this sell side. It might not happen today, but I'm thinking this would be a breakaway gap. do not think it's going to happen. Especially for it to happen, for us to retrace back to 20%. I'd want the dollar to be going lower. And it's going higher. It's a new low for the day on ES. Let's see if NQ did it. It did not. It took that 5-minute low though. So that is now our S&T in relationship to NQ. Oh. Just watched this video on Twitter of these fossil fuel activists chasing Jerome Powell off the stage in his meeting or his little conference dinner yesterday. And I felt bad for Jerome. Listen, if there is a obvious and easy way to get off of fossil fuels, I'd love to do it. I'm pro planet, pro the planet, but there isn't an obvious way. And he has no he doesn't make any decisions on government spending. He doesn't make policy. So I don't know why they were kind of chasing him. All he can do is raise or lower interest rates. They chase him off the stage or yelling at him while he's sitting down at a dinner. Woof. Maybe they just keep taking it lower. They want everybody thinking it's going short. They want everybody thinking it's going to short. And then they're just going to rip their faces off. Taking it long. In the last 5 minutes. Nah. Damn, part of me has been kind of wanting to hop on this kind of copy like the Congress trades since they've been buying all war stocks. I don't really support the moral side of it, but I feel like they're gonna go up. They're gonna go up. Especially if Congress, like, it's fucked up that they can trade. The fact that they can buy stocks, and then technically it's like the president can initiate a war like without them. There's like this like little legal clause, but I think the like thorough legal way is like they bring it to Congress and Congress votes. So like they can buy a bunch of war stocks and then vote on whether we're gonna like officially go to like declare war. Fucked up. And then when it comes to like defense like companies, like there's not a whole lot of those out there, and it's kind of similar to like airplanes, like places all around the globe buy like Boeing and Airbus airplanes because how many companies are out there manufacturing like the entire plane? Like not a lot. So they all just go to them because what are you gonna trust? Like gonna go to the startup and be like, hey, you want to build an Airbus for us? No, they're gonna go to the people that have been doing it for the past 20 years and are the industry standard. And I feel like that's the same with like defense and like war companies like Lockheed Martin and shit like that. Like any country wants to like buy like fighter jets, they're gonna buy like fighter jets from like 2 to 3 companies. Damn. So we got 20 minutes left in the session. Um, I don't think we're gonna get a TGIF today. ba, ba, ba.